we have healed from Sundowns exiting the Champions League. So we will watch it on TV like everybody else when Esperance takes on Al Ahly. Those who know how and those who have an idea of how, because South Africans, they don't know the how. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Have you healed?
You can never heal from such. The only thing that can heal you is another tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, so the pain will be replaced by the pain.
Oh,
so that's the only way you can try and forget about the previous season's pain.
Have you healed?
Learning curves, they don't stop.
This Colosalo number. Champions League and Confed Cup are very interesting continental championships. And we are at that point now, we are in May. A lot of leagues are closing. I think the only one that nobody knows what's going to happen is because they're so far behind is the Egyptian league. We've got Pyramids leading, but Al Ahly have got so many games in hand. So we're kind of expecting that the same two will most likely come back from an Egyptian perspective. We then go to one of the interesting places being Morocco. Wydad, Sundowns supporters. We have a special place for Wydad. They're in different places that are not very kosher. They're not coming back.
They're not coming back, but does that make any difference in Sundowns' pain? They still experience the same amount of pain. So the issue was never Wydad. The issue was just the stage in which they were in. So plug and play, you put in somebody else and you still experience the same type of pain.
The interesting thing, SC,
Yes, sir.
in Morocco, there's two new coaches, brand new coaches. One is Nabi. He almost came to South Africa.
Almost.
We won't say anything. And then you have Joseph Zimba, who's a former Pirates coach.
Yeah.
Number 1 and 2. Zimba has got a very interesting record of, hasn't lost a game, but is number 2 to Nabi.
Look, this conversation, when you bring these two coaches, is quite interesting because it then brings two teams in South Africa into conversation for me. You have two coaches that could possibly be in the CAF Champions League. And they could have been in South Africa to coach two certain teams. That could probably give them a benefit of the doubt and say they might have just brought these teams back into the CAF Champions League. But going back to your question, Damposa, look, these people are doing good work there. And Nabi, we don't doubt it. We've seen Nabi's work before he even got there. And he still continues to give us good work in terms of his structure, the way he wants to set up his teams. You watch his teams and you enjoy them play. You enjoy seeing them play. And then you have a guy in Joseph Zimbawa, who...
Master of draws.
Master of draws. But look at the work behind his team with those draws that he's playing. What position is he sitting at?
Number 2.
Number 2 with a game in hand.
But Mamposa, this also tells you that Zimbawa has not learned anything from Orlando Pirates. and
What do you mean?
No, because you can't keep on repeating the same mistakes that made you not progress in your previous team. His biggest sin at Orlando Pirates was drawing a lot of football matches. And that is not acceptable because...
Mara is not losing.
Yeah, but a draw, I always say I'd rather lose than draw because a draw gives you a false impression that things are still okay because the clock keeps on ticking. But you've dropped 2. I've dropped 3 points, I've dropped 2. If I play and I win 2 matches and I lose 1, you play and you draw 3, you have this perception that I'm not losing. And everybody will be saying, the team is not losing.
Yeah,
they haven't lost. There'll be these records. But you're dropping so many points. You've dropped 6 points. You dropped more points than I've done so. So he hasn't learned the fact that get rid of these draws. Learn how to
Zimbabwe could be a Sundowns coach because they always end up at the semi-final point.
As Likoko is speaking, I'm actually thinking of the thought that has he really repeated the same mistakes he's done at Pirates? Because now we have to look at the league he's playing at in comparison to our league, and no disrespect to our league and their league. And you look at that and you say, is he punching above his weight where he is?
Okay.
Or this weight that he had in South Africa was too high for him to punch through?
So he needs to lose. He must be either heavyweight or middleweight or...
It really begs the question that Likoko is putting out there to say, is this man failing where he is?
No, but I think the test of that, because in Champions League, you draw too many games, you are out.
You're out.
You ask Sundowns, draw too many games, you'll find yourself at home.
Yeah, without losing.
Chief, hey, please don't go there.
That's the conversation. In actual
We
fact.
then go to, and I think this is where African football is a boiling kettle. East Africa. Wananchi. You look at what Yanga is doing in East Africa, you cannot debate it.
Yeah.
Yanga, the new sheriff of Tanzanian football.
Amazing. Amazing.
And I'm very, as much as I have to commend them for being the new sheriff of Tanzanian football, I also have to bring the fact that them getting that FIFA ban was totally unnecessary, because you can't be setting the bar and be the one that's being found wanting administratively. If you are going to plan and move on and go on and dominate the league, it starts in making decisions administratively. Go and look at each and every team that's winning leagues, each and every team that's going for Champions League. Administratively, you hardly find them wanting. And they ought to be aware of the fact that the minute you are found wanting administratively, it's hard to recover. It's not as easy as recovering from the field where you're saying, we can always fire the coach and a new coach can come in. So they have to look at that and they have to ask themselves questions.
And the interesting thing is, he comes into when we then start to say, so Yanga, unless they fix those mistakes, because FIFA still, if you fix in time, they still allow you time to be able to. Yeah. If they don't, they can strengthen their team. And 100%. We've seen last season's teams have never been the bar in the new season.
That's a fact.
Because there's also players that could be leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, there's rumors that if Aziz leaves, that's a big loss.
You know, Kampoza, with that in mind again, Aziz, the conversation itself, if you look at the number of teams that rumored be that they are looking at Aziz,
including Nabi,
you then have to look at that conversation and say, with that ban looming and right on your corner, let's take it back a little bit. Your administrative work, as Lokoko has been saying, has been of question. You look at how they dealt with the Sundowns matter. It then tells you there's an issue when it comes to administrative work.
So there must, if you look at, and South Africa has had this thing of exporting administrators. Brasenzo has gone over, was the CEO at Yanga and Simba. Maybe they need somebody who knows this thing, because when you hear what the reason of the ban is, it's important.
Yeah.
They can come to South Africa. There are great administrators. You look at the likes of Floyd Mbele, they can be a technical director to be able to assist in that, because it's going to be important for you. If Yanga does not reach the quarterfinals of the Champions League next season, it's a failure.
It definitely is a failure. You're taking into consideration the fact that they went all the way to the finals of the CC, Confederation Cup.
Yes.
And now they've reached the stage of the Champions League. So
there's great progress within the club.
There's huge progress, but the minute you have that ban, it's going to take you years to try and recover. Yeah. And going back to you saying, should they bring in a South African administrator? I'd be biased and say, yeah, because I've dealt with the South African administrators. But then I ask myself a question that if your president is part of the mother body, you ought to know the rules. Yes. You ought to know that this is what. Be aware, because it's going not only reflect bad on your team, it's going to reflect bad on the organization as a whole, and that is where my problem is.
But here's the other thing that's happening. While the Wananchi are the sheriff with problems, it's not a foregone conclusion that Simba is going to be next, because Azam are going,
We are here.
We are here. I think again we are building as well.
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate what's happening to Simba in terms of their
No, Chief, this is football. There's no unfortunate.
No, it is.
You work for that thing. You can't.
100%.
It's not a food parcel.
It's not a food parcel.
Hence,
there's no elections here.
You are right. Hence, they've been there in terms of the CAF Champions League in every season, that they've been in. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself questions that, look, Azam is here, and it's raising questions for them to say, guys, are you really sure you want the spot?
Because Azam we are in the room.
Yeah.
We want to be part of this
conversation. The bigger conversation with regards to this Tanzanian football is that we have to spread it into an African conversation in terms of saying, look, you might just be one of the guys that are going to host in the next 3 years. What is this doing to your football?
Look, if I'm at Yanga right now, I need somebody who's very good administratively. And the bias is because we're South Africans, so we are privy to what's happening. I'm going to need one of the top scouts, because now I need to start scouting or analyst to be able to say, I'd go, there's a certain Snesi Pomali who's one of the most qualified one. You then go, put him in there, he'll be able to give you information.
Yeah.
And then you then go, maybe Barbara must cross the floor from Simba to Yanga. Would she do that?
Would she do that?
Treason.
No, and I just want to take it back a bit in terms of Simba. You go throughout the continent and you look at an example of what's happening in the Tanzanian league, and you go straight to Egypt and you're like, in Egypt there used to be 2 teams. That's all we've known. We've known Zamalek, we've known Al Ahly.
Yes.
And then there was this young boy that came from Norway, and now that young boy that was seen as just, you know this thing will fizzle out. It's just a phase.
They're still fizzling out.
They're still fizzling out because that's where you get the difference. Is that the minute you get a team that prioritizes football and not necessarily want to carry the history, want to carry the name.
Hold on. I hear the history. And talking of the history, that's important. In South Africa, we've seen Sundowns carry the national team, right? Yes. With what's happening with Yanga and Simba getting to the quarterfinals, what does that do for the Tanzanian national team? Because they're going to be in the CAF there's going to be another tournament. Are they going to be able to progress as a nation? Does this augur good, or are there too many foreign players in there? Those are the things that one has to look at.
You know, when you mentioned that, I'm thinking that as well, in terms of the foreign players that are playing within the team and within the Tanzanian league. And you reference South Africa. Look at the number of players that South Africa had in the national team coming from South Africa. You understand? A Sundowns team had about 7 players in there. And if you versus that against a Tanzanian league and Yanga and Simba and Azam, which are the top 3 teams in that league.
You need to get the order right. Yanga, Azam, Simba.
Sorry guys. So when you look at that order, it then makes you ask yourself a question to say, do you have enough players that are going to be in your national team that are going to do well at AFCON? Begs the question.
Then we have not forgotten South Africans. Sundowns, Champions League, because Sundowns were crowned champions.
Rhetorical.
Who is going there with them, and who's going to Confed with them? Because, hey, unzima, man.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see who goes with
I say Stellenbosch.
I can agree to that. But to a certain portion...
No, you can't but to a certain point.
No, we have to have the conversation. If I agree with you, then there's a Pirates, somebody out there saying, but Pirates is within a shot. They're just 1 point. They're just 3 points away from Stellies.
Pirates require Stellies to do something wrong. Stellies is still within their hands.
They still have Sundowns to play.
Our draw's good. Sundowns don't have to play for anything. It's before.
But I still maintain I remember you asked me this question before. Who's going to the Champions League? And I still say Orlando Pirates. And I say Orlando Pirates because of you look at their form running into the league. You look at their goals that they're scoring.
But Stellenbosch can cancel each of those. Their form has been. They had the longest streak that just...
I want Lugogo to finish.
Yeah, but you know, you're talking about the longest streak, which would include a draw here and you know, a draw here and there. And I'm saying to you, you look at Orlando Pirates. Orlando Pirates, they almost certainly guaranteed that they're going to be winning their matches. Yes, I know there's no such thing in football, but you look at the forms in terms of they're going to, and you look at the goals that they've been scoring, Maposa, and you take that into consideration, and you factor in the fact that this very same Stellenbosch that you say they're going to qualify, they still have to play a Mamelodi Sundowns that is protecting their record. And
I want us to look at something.
No, but Cox is sounding like a romantic singer almost.
No. There's a conversation that's interesting with what Cox is saying. But here's another angle of it. A Pirates that only picks in the second half of the league is going into a CAF Champions League. That requires you to be fully focused at it. A Stellenbosch that hasn't lost in so many games.
Till they met Sundowns.
Right? Now, you look at those two conversations. You say, Pirates normally at the beginning of the season don't peak. They peak now, late in the season. How are they going to fare out in the CAF Champions League? In the 2 seasons that we've seen them,
they were named out of the competition.
Exactly. Would it be an interesting conversation to have a Stellies that has been riding so well in the league and in cups? They already have a cup.
Everybody's got a cup. Pirates got a cup.
Yeah.
The Sundowns, champions. Stellies. But with all that said, football we can talk the whole day. We'll say the following. We will see Sundowns in the Champions League. I put my head on the block and say we will see Stellies in the Champions League. And we will see Orlando Pirates and Skukuni in the Confed Cup.
No, those are bold predictions. but I understand your love for Skukuni.
I mean, I know this African thing is your thing.
You can't take the fact away now that you have a potentially CAF Champions League participants playing in the National Cup, in the FA Cup. And that automatically says to you, are we only looking at number 3 that will qualify for the Confederation Cup? No, because that will cancel out. So that means the number 4 has to come in, where you bring in your
beloved Skukuni.
But you look at your beloved Skukuni and you say, hold on, behind this beloved Skukuni, there's something that's also happening.
Don't never. Oh, he's coming with an agenda. Having said that, football, you're beautiful. Football, you're so magical. That's why we love you. These ones with agenda. This agenda, others must come in. I don't understand it. We'll see you soon when we review the finals of the Champions League. Sundowns is not there, so please bear with these ones.
Why that is not there?